Ah! Ah! Greetings, creepy dolls. Ah! I'm Benthelooney, and welcome back to Octoberfest. Sorry for all the screaming. It's just that I finished watching quite possibly the scariest movie I've ever seen. Okay, the second scariest. It's a movie by Aaron Seltzer and Jason Friedberg, the guys who make parody movies even though they haven't a clue on what parody is. It's none other than Disaster Movie, which is so bad that's considered one of the worst movies of all time. Judging by the title, it's supposed to be a parody of disaster movies. Yeah, like that's never been done before. Anyway, I know this isn't a horror movie, but so trucked up it might as well be. Get ready to become immune to fear. Here is my review of Disaster Movie. So, it starts out with the spoof of 10,000 BC. Don't remember that movie? Well, don't feel bad. Nobody does. Anyway, we see a caveman running from something. My best guess would be he's running from the directors. So, the caveman keeps running until he runs into an American Gladiator spoof, and he does a mini fight with the gladiator, and the caveman proceeds to run. In case you were wondering, you were supposed to laugh at that. However, if you didn't, congratulations! You have a brain. So, the caveman keeps running, and then he runs into Amy Winehouse. Now, this is Seltzerberg's style of comedy. They think things from pop culture appearing out of nowhere is funny. Can you think of anything else that does that? Must avoid obvious Family Guy joke. So, Amy Winehouse tells the caveman that the world is going to end on a specific date. Amy then chugs a whole bottle of alcohol and belches on the caveman for half a minute. Seltzerberg, when your sense of humor is that of a 5-year-old kindergartner, I think that's a good indication that you should have majored in nursing instead. We then cut to the present when our main character, Will, wakes up in his bed. He nudges to wake up his girlfriend, but instead, Flava Flav wakes up in his bed. Okay, so it's Flava Flav. What's the joke? Flav runs out of bed and Will begins to talk to his girlfriend, and the girlfriend decides to leave him, and she takes a dwarf with her. I guess dwarves are funny. Oh wait, no they're not! Would it kill you to write actual humor, you mutated toenails of the Zucker brothers? We then cut to Will's Sweet 16 party. Will mingles with different people, and he runs into Dr. Phil. Ah! These pop culture references are starting to scare me. We then cut to a prank being committed by a parody of Anton from No Country for Old Men. He flips a coin, and he kills a guy who's sleeping. Yeah, this movie just lives in a realm of Seltzerberg's other movies that I call Random Land. In Random Land, wherever you want to appear can appear. All of your favorite people can pop up, just like that. In that case, I would really love to see Groucho Marx right now. Dang. Anyway, we see two people who are spoofs of the main characters from Superbad trying to steal alcohol. It's then we see our other main characters, Calvin and Lisa, played by a Kardashian! Make it go away! Anyway, Lisa, you know what? What's the point of even calling the character by her name? It's just Kim Kardashian being herself. So, Kim tells Calvin to stop the guys from stealing the alcohol. Then, all of a sudden, Carmen Electra walks in and gets in a wrestling match with Kim. You know, I'm starting to figure out how Seltzerberg work. I think they just write a bunch of bad jokes on paper, and then they build a movie around them. Well, if you know anything about comedy and filmmaking, that's a horrible idea! The best jokes come from characters, fully developed characters that we know from the inside out. The humor comes from the characters being put in situations that their personalities can react to. That turns out being easy for comedy writers because the jokes will practically write themselves. But, of course, Seltzerberg thinks that comedy means throwing in a bunch of random things and pop culture references that won't even be relevant 2 weeks after the movie's release. But, let me put this in terms that you would understand, Seltzerberg. You guys suck at funny! Anyway, that wrestling match turns out being a fantasy. You know what that means? It was there for the sheer purpose of... No, that's not even worthy of the angelic choir. Anyway, for those of you who've always wanted to see a wrestling match between Kim Kardashian and Carmen Electra, I hope the two of you are satisfied. So, Calvin sees that Will is down in the dumps, and he has an idea to cheer him up. We then enter your nightmares for the rest of your life as a parody of the chorus from High School Musical comes in and sings a song. Oh my god. I think High School Musical had anything worth spoofing in it. The horror! The horror! That's right, the chorus just sings a song. It's not even a funny song, it's just a song. Well, if it's supposed to be funny, it isn't. Anyway, during the song that's gonna haunt me, we see Junie, a parody of Juno, holding a cheeseburger phone. And it cuts back to the singing. Okay, what the truck was that about? Anyway, if you thought the parody of High School Musical was scary, then you might want to turn away. That's right, a Justin Timberlake spoof comes in and sings. Oh, yeah, everybody knows who Justin Timberlake is. He was the lead singer of Hanson, right? And then Jessica Simpson comes in and sings. Oh my god, the anti-humor is killing me! What is so trucking funny about celebrities? Honestly! Screw Random Land! Unless it wants to make Tex Avery and Jay Ward show up at my house. Dang. Anyway, the High School Musical chorus keeps causing my ears to bleed until an earthquake happens, and it shuts them up. Thank you, Earthquake. You're my favorite character in this whole movie. The characters watch the news, and the news says that a disaster is occurring. Yeah, it's called the release of this movie. Run for your lives before it comes to a theater near you! Anyway, the next scene isn't important to the plot, but I have to bring it up. So, the Junie character is parodying Juno's clever sense of humor. Ain't Seltzerberg cute? They think they're being funny by making fun of a movie that's actually funny. So, Junie zings a half-naked guy, and the guy proceeds to say, I have no idea what you're saying. That's Seltzerberg's movie summed up in one sentence. Nobody knows what kind of jokes they're going for, nobody knows what their spoofs of celebrities are supposed to be, and nobody knows what goes on in their minds. Isn't it nice when bad movies sum themselves up for us? So, a meteor shower starts and everybody panics. The characters then run outside to find shelter. You were just in shelter. And one of the meteors crushes Hannah Montana. Ah! Well, actually, this isn't as scary as the real one. Anyway, while Hannah Montana's dying, she proceeds to keep plugging merchandise. Okay, I hate to admit this, but this would have actually been funny. But Seltzerberg breaks another comedy sin by dragging this scene on longer than needed. Yep, just when you think Hannah Montana's going to die, she gets right back up and keeps plugging merchandise. Okay, we get it. Hannah Montana was a cash cow by Disney. Please move on. Nope, they keep doing it. Okay, you're biting off more than you can chew. Please move on. So finally, Hannah dies. But her wig falls off and she turns out being Miley Cyrus, who plugs more merchandise! Seltzerberg, it's what... Get that childhood murdering picture off of me. Thank you. Anyway, Seltzerberg, it's one thing you don't know how comedy works, but you guys just feel as human beings! You guys have the mental capacities of two escaped mental patients! No, actually, the mental patients are smarter than you! I bet you don't even know you're making movies! You're just making a bunch of unfunny YouTube videos made with unfunny jokes and shoving them all together! Yeah, I guess that's called filmmaking these days! You guys suck! You have no talent at all! You can't write! You can't direct! You can't produce! You can't create! You can't tell jokes! And I mean funny jokes! Not jokes I don't even know what the truck you're going for! I wouldn't be surprised if you guys also sucked at being coffee boys for talented directors! The fact you guys have careers is baffling! How do you manage to make money? Well, I guess it's easy when you're using rocks to pay for them, so even if you make 5 cents, you're still making a profit. So, do us a favor, Seltzerberg. Take your dang unfunny jokes, your dang unfunny ideas, dig yourselves in a dang hole and bury yourselves in it so you two can be together for the rest of existence. Because it seems the only people who are laughing at your movies are yourselves. So stay locked away from the rest of society so we don't have to deal with you two anymore. So anyway, it then shows a drunk Hancock laying on the bench, and he's asked by a kid to save the day. So he proceeds to fly up in the air, hit a light post, and he falls back to the ground. Way to even fail at one of the simplest forms of comedy, Seltzerberg. I could sure use Bugs Bunny's help to explain how slapstick can work. Dang. So, the main characters find refuge in an abandoned building, and a spoof of the ladies from Sex and the City appear. Oh, goody! I wonder if they're going to make a joke about Sarah Jessica Parker being ugly. Ah, they do! How foolish of me to think that they were going to try to make their own original joke, instead of making a joke that everybody else has made! God, this comedy is lazy! See, one of the main reasons I can't stand pop culture references is if they're making fun of a celebrity that everybody else has made fun of, you're just going to hear the same jokes over and over and over and over and over again! This is a comedian's easy way out when it comes to saying jokes, even if they're not talented enough to come up with their own material. Anyway, Junie and Sarah Jessica Parker spoof get in a fight. Mindless violence still isn't funny, Seltzerberg. It lacks the build-up and timing of slapstick humor that makes it work. Oh, right. Duh, people hitting each other ain't funny if it's random. Anyway, skipping through unfunny jokes, the movie then shows a spoof of the film Jumper, which turns out being a fantasy by Will. Yeah, that's how forced these pop culture jokes have gotten. Seltzerberg doesn't care if they don't have any purpose to the plot. They're just shoving them in because... I don't even know. I would have better luck breaking into Fort Knox than I would finding out what goes on in Seltzerberg's mind. Anyway, the characters keep running. Will is called by his girlfriend, and Kim Kardashian is crushed by a meteor. Yay! Oh, I'm so sorry, folks. How heartless of me. What I meant to say was, yes! Oh, thank God! Ding dong, the witch is dead. Hail Dorothy! Anyway, the princess from Enchanted comes out of a sewer. Now, this is funny because Enchanted came out in 2007. Oh, sorry, I just thought of actual humor. Actual humor that can be provided by Stan Laurel! Dang. Anyway, the princess meets up with the main characters and joins them. The prince then comes out of the sewer, and he accuses Kelvin of trying to take the princess away from him. So, they solved their dispute by competing in a dance contest. Now, of course, this appeals to me because I've seen Step Up. Oh wait, no I haven't. But I can't say that if I did see Step Up, I still wouldn't find this trucking funny! Anyway, the prince is beaten in the contest, and he goes back in the sewer. A tornado appears and the characters cling onto a tree to survive. The princess then says that they need a hero, and Iron Man appears. A cow then proceeds to land on him. Okay, that wasn't funny. Then Hellboy appears, and a cow lands on him. Okay, that wasn't funny either. Then the Hulk appears, and his pants are ripped off. Well, that wasn't funny, but at least there wasn't a cow, and a cow lands on him. Okay, did I just see that? Did I just see them do the same unfunny joke 3 times in a row? My McKimson Seltzerberg, have you no idea of the art of filmmaking? Have you no passion for humor? Are you guys so focused on shoving in lazy pop culture jokes, poorly executed slapstick, and whatever the truck that hamburger phone was to actually take time and effort into making films that actually work? Sure, you make these movies as cheap as possible so you can make as much money off of them as possible, but do you hate the profession you're in so much that you can't be inspired to contribute something noteworthy to it? Look into your hearts. There is more to comedy movies than just making money. The best artists don't make what movie studios and drunk college students want to see. They make what they want to see. They love what they do, and they add what they love into their work, putting their own footprints into the world of entertainment. So, what I'm trying to say is... Oh, right, Seltzerberg. Duh, you guys suck at what you do. Stop bumming money that you use to make your movies off of hard-working people and find jobs that you're actually good at! Anyway, the characters manage to make it into a building. Oh, gee, I wonder what 2000 reference they're going to run into in this building. Why, it's none other than... Excuse me. Alvin and the Chipmunks then start to sing. Well, I'm I'm already deaf from the High School Musical spoof, so I'm not affected by the Chipmunks. Anyway, the Chipmunks then turn demonic and start to attack the characters. I always knew those Chipmunks were evil, but nobody ever believed me. They will pay with their blood. Anyway, after more than funny slapstick, they trap the Chipmunks in trash cans. Oh, by the way, Chipmunks killed Junie. Yeah, I didn't care either. So, the characters keep running and they run into Batman, who adds absolutely nothing to the so-called plot of this movie, and the characters need a car to get to the museum to save Will's girlfriend. They then see Speed Racer, and the princess proceeds to shoot him. The characters then open the trunk and see Michael Jackson inside of it with the kid. Truck you, Seltzerberg. You know, I have a sense of humor, and I believe in using comedy to make situations better, but there are some lines you just don't cross. It really hurts me to actually get offended by comedy, because that means people are going to say, take a joke. Well, if I don't find the joke funny, then I don't have to take it. Especially an old joke like Michael Jackson being a child molester. Mike clamp it! The jokes on the back of Laffy Taffy wrappers are funnier than the jokes in this movie! Anyway, the characters use Speed Racer's car to get to the museum, and they save Will's girlfriend, Amy. They now have to put the crystal skull on an altar to stop the disaster. Why are we just now hearing about it? Because they had to shove in an Indiana Jones reference. So, Will and Amy run to the altar, and they're stopped by a naked Beowulf. Will proceeds to make a bunch of gay jokes to Beowulf. When all else fails, go for the gay jokes. It's not like gays have any feelings, right? Also, seeing Beowulf in this movie reminded me to say something. Kids, read books. For the love of all things sacred, read books. Meanwhile, Calvin and the princess are stopped by Po from Kung Fu Panda. I sense a poorly executed and unfunny fight scene! After the fight, Calvin kisses the princess, who turns out being a man, and Po kills the both of them. After Will fights with Beowulf, he and Amy make it to the altar where a dwarf dressed as Indiana Jones is there. He takes the skull and he says that he's Will's father. Oh, wow! That's who Will's father is! It's a good thing they resolved that dilemma that never existed in this movie. Seriously, what was the point of that? So, the dwarf tries to put the skull back, but he swings out of a window, leaving Will to do it. Afterwards, Amy and Will have a love guru wedding. So, how do you end a movie that doesn't feel like a movie? Just a series of unfunny pop culture references were pasted together? Why, how about a song where every single one of the pop culture references sings about how they're all dating each other? I'm not kidding. Every one of the pop culture references you had to survive through come up once again as if to say, hey, if you didn't think we were funny the first time, you're probably not going to think we were funny the second time, but screw you, here we are. I bet you regret spending money to see this movie. What a big middle finger from Seltzerberg. Well, I bet you're wondering what I thought of this movie. Well, it taught me something. Something spiritual. Something amazing. Something that makes me appreciate everything I have. Something that makes me happy to be alive to know that I have it easy. And that thing is that this movie trucking sucks! If you were to tape a video camera to a blind otter, I guarantee that otter would film something that is actually comedic gold compared to this horrible movie. There are no jokes, just references. The characters are just there. The satire isn't even satire. And above all else, it's stupid, 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 stupid! However, I have to admit, this film does live up to its title. It also embarrasses me that this movie was produced in America, and it almost makes me want to move to Pennsylvania. Anyway, believe it or not, there are going to be people out there who are going to defend this movie, saying that it's a spoof movie, it's supposed to be stupid. Your naivete of how satire works is both funny and sad at the same time. Anyway, this concludes Octoberfest. I hope you'll survive Halloween, because after that, you'll have to survive the worst horror of the year. The holiday season. Anyway, I'm Benthelooney, and I'm signing out. I'm gonna go see if I can still read.
To me, the sky scripted tears, abolished the rules made of stone.
this where we heard our names being called? Yeah, Doc, but nobody's here. Well, that's a shame. I really wanted to beat this person. I did too. Then I wanted to leave shortly afterwards. Well, who's up for some root beer floats? I forgot to turn the camera off. Did I miss anything while I was gone? Oh, what kind of stupid question is that? Of course I didn't. Well, bye anyway, folks.